Hello, I'm Charlize. Welcome to another episode of Book Talk. Today we're going to be discussing The Strange and Beautiful Stories of Ava Lavender by Lesley Walton. So, I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of themed my outfit for this book talk. This is a book about a girl with wings, so she has feathers and so I have feathers. And it's also blue, and so this is blue, and yeah. So I have a new way of like structuring my book talk, so hopefully that'll make them more like just better organized, and I'll be able to like remember everything I wanted to say. So I have my mug, and so I'm ready. Let's get started. So this is a young adult magical realism book. I'm not sure, this might be an adult book, but it's definitely magical realism, and it's like a more mature young adult book, and it's about a girl who is born with wings. So we start off in the prologue from the point of view of a girl who has been born with wings, and then after that we go through her family history basically. So we go back through her great-grandma, her grandma and her mum, and then we get to her story. So it basically goes through all of their stories. The great-grandma is a shorter history, and then her grandma has a bit of a longer one, and then her mum has a longer history, and then the story of Ava Lavender is the longest story. So it kind of goes like that as we get closer to the closer related people in Ava's life. And this is basically just a theme-driven book, so the plot itself isn't like a thing that I would tell you in terms of the synopsis. It's more like basically the quote on the back here sums it up, and it says, "Love makes us such fools." So this book follows basically the theme of love and the ramifications of love. So I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It is one of my new favourite books, and this book is definitely a bit hit and miss. I think you'll either love it or you just won't really, it won't really work with you. So to help you decide if this is a book that you think you'll like or not, I'm going to give you a book that I think if you liked this specific book, then you will like The Strange and Beautiful Stories of Ava Lavender. And that book is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which is also one of my favourite books. This book reminded me a lot about The Night Circus in terms of its writing style and the way that it, just the imagery it kind of uses. And I do have The Night Circus here, but I can't be bothered to get it out. It's like way in there. So yeah, if you like The Night Circus, I do think you'll like this. And I have also seen on like a Tumblr post, I didn't get the idea from the Tumblr post, I thought this as soon as I started reading it, but I saw on a Tumblr post, if you liked The Night Circus, then you'll like this. And so I was like, I'm not the only one that thinks that. So, and as you can see on my bookshelf, it has a special little pedestal to stand on so everyone can see it, because number one, it has a beautiful cover, clearly, and number two, it's one of my new favourite books, so I just want to stare at it all the time. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about a few things that I liked. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the pacing of this book. So you would think with the whole going through family history thing, it would be a slower paced book, and for some people it might be, but for me, I flew through this book, like just because of the writing and the way that everything is described. It just like flows really well, so it was really fast paced for me, which I found weird but really well done. Another thing that I really liked about this book is the vagueness of some of the things. So because it is a magical realism book, that basically means that it's a contemporary with some magical elements, but they're not, like, it's not meant to be a fantasy book. It's like our real world with some magical elements that are believed to be real kind of thing. So like superstition comes into a lot and things like that. And kind of like the Night Circus, a lot of these elements are unexplained, but in a good way, not in a like cop-out kind of way, just in a way that makes you question whether things are being literal or whether they're a metaphor for something else. And this book just really makes you think. That's another thing that I really liked. I'm still thinking about this book, particularly about the ending, and there's just a lot of different ways you can perceive certain aspects of this book, and I just took a lot out of it, and I just think it was brilliant. I can't really think of anything that I didn't like about this book, other than some of the scenes in this book kind of like were confronting to me in a weird way because of how beautifully and poetically it's written. Some of the like really striking descriptions of certain events kind of like shock me, but I found that to be a good thing. But it might be like uncomfortable sort of for some people, but I I thought that it was definitely the author's intention to shock me in certain scenes like that. So that is all for the non-spoilery section. If you have not yet read The Strange and Beautiful Stories of Ava Lavender and you think it sounds like something you would enjoy, you should definitely read it and then come back and discuss it with us, because I would love to hear your opinion as well. So goodbye for now, non-spoilery people, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, please leave. Yes. So I have like a little piece of paper in here with some notes that I took when I was reading it, and that's the first time I've done this. Like, I did this also in Throne of Glass, but I read that after this, so this is the first time that I took notes during actually reading a book, which I was pretty proud of myself for. Been more organised, I took this many notes. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to know if any of you guys kind of noticed this distinctly, and that is like in the first bit of the book, during the great-grandma and the grandma's stories, there's not much dialogue at all, and maybe even in the mum's story, but there's not much dialogue at all. And like at first I didn't notice it, and then I noticed it and I was like, whoa, there's actually no dialogue right now. Is this how the whole book's gonna be? And then it wasn't like that. There was more dialogue towards the end, but I think that just kind of is more about the whole theme-driven thing, so that you don't get too attached to the characters, which like I think that would be a criticism. Just like in the Night Circus, a lot of people think that the characters, you don't get attached enough to them, and that's the same with this book. I didn't feel that attached to the characters, but I think that was because the author didn't want to distract us from the like themes of the book, and I thought that was really good, and I still did get attached to mainly just Vivienne and Ava. So I have two little tabs here, and I'm just gonna show you what they were in case you were wondering, and if you have this same edition as me. One of them is on page 75, and it's at the very top, and it is a quote that says, "For a very long time, Vivienne and Jack lived in that world people inhabit before love. Some people call that place friendship, others call it confusing. Vivienne found it a very pleasant place with an altitude that only occasionally made her nauseous." And I just, like, that just, oh, it's just, this book is so beautifully written and I cannot get over it. And the next one I have tabbed is on page 128. I think I should have tabbed a lot more in this book, but I was trying to like restrain myself, otherwise there would just, like, there wouldn't be enough space for me to actually put more tabs. So on page 128, this is about in the middle here, and it is, it's when she's talking about whether, like, she couldn't tell if she was a bird or a human because she couldn't fly, and stuff. So she says, "What did it mean to be human anyway? I knew I was different, but didn't that make me as human as anyone, or was I something else? I didn't know." So she's basically just saying, like, she didn't feel human because she was so different, but at the same time, doesn't that just make her more human? I found it really, really sad when Jack left Vivienne for, I don't remember the girl's name, but the other girl. I thought that he just left her because he met the other girl, but then later on we find out it's because of Jack's dad, and I don't know why I didn't catch on to that while I was reading it. Like, it's pretty obvious, but it was just really upsetting. But then I was really happy that Vivienne then later on, like, went back to Jack to, like, at the very end of the book when the whole thing happened with Ava, and I was really glad that Vivienne didn't fall back into, like, her love for Jack, and then that just, like, made her get over him, and that just made me really happy. Did anyone else find that, like, a lot of the events in this book were very sudden and shocking in, like, in a good way, as in the author meant to do that? Because I did, and like all of the sudden deaths at the start of the novel especially, they all were like, whoa, this is just terrible, how can this be a thing happening? And then, like, when Vivienne slept with Jack, I didn't see that coming, and then I was like, what are you doing? And then she was pregnant, and then Jack left her, and it was just a mess. Another thing that I found is that the stories flow very seamlessly into each other, so it's not like this is this story and then we cut off and next part this story, and it was just like sudden. No, it was like it just flowed, so it was like, okay, we're in this character now, but the story still flowed into the next one, if you know what I mean. Then I have written down page 162/163, and as a note I have written down literally creepy AF. So let's see what was creepy AF on that page. Oh, this is Henry, Ava's brother. I found Henry to be a really interesting character, by the way. I knew there had to be something up with that kid, and I really liked him as a character as well. Basically the thing that he keeps on saying, like, the sad man needs you to know, and then he says, there's red on the floor and feathers everywhere, and he keeps on saying it, and it's so creepy. So I want to talk about the ending, because I don't know how I feel, I don't know how I perceive that, and if, I googled it afterwards to see if I just missed something or if I was meant to not know exactly what happened there, but I'm talking about the very end when she jumps off the roof. And the two ways that I think you can perceive it is, one, she committed suicide and she ended up dying and then she was flying because she was dead, or she actually grew her wings and was able to fly. Firstly, my first initial thought was that she died. That was my first thought, and I was like and then I did some searching and I found a discussion group for a Year 12 Extension English class that had read the book and were discussing the ending, and I found that the start of the book, the prologue, is her, when you look at the date of it, it's like dated as 2014 or 2013 or something, and so she had to have been alive to write that. So maybe she lived, I don't know. I had some theory as to how she could have written that letter and still have died, but I can't remember now. It could have just been with the magical realism type element that she wrote it through someone. I don't even know, but I still don't know what I think, because my initial thought was that she had died, but then that letter in the start makes me think she didn't, so I don't know. Please tell me what you think in the comments below and why, because I really want to, because I'm still thinking about that in specific. I just cannot stop thinking. I'm like, what happened? So that is all for my book talk on The Strange and Beautiful Stories of Ava Lavender. This is now one of my favourite books. Let me know in the comments below if you dislike this book and why. And let me know if you loved it and rant with me. And yes, so I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye!